Hi, I'm Richard Randall, and welcome to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker. She's the owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of the program. This is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Colorado's Real Estate Authority, Barb Schlinker. Barb Schlinker is a retired Navy veteran. Barb is an author. Barb is also a pilot, and Barb and her team enjoy all that Colorado and the Front Range have to offer. Barb, always great to be talking with you. Now, we air Your Real Estate Voice every Saturday, 11 o'clock, right after Larry Kudlow. If you can't listen to the entire show, it is always available on Barb's site, barbhasthebuyers.com, or just go ahead and search Barb on most of the popular podcast platforms, iHeartRadio, Spotify, etc. Barb, what's on the docket today?
Well, good morning, Richard. I'm excited about the topics today. The first one, a lot of people have been hearing about in the news, which is how to prevent squatters from moving into your home, especially if you're selling your home in Colorado. We're going to dig into that a little bit and let you know kind of what could happen, what has happened in my own experience, and some tips to protect your house from people invading your property. The next topic's just kind of fun. I always like to look at home design information online just because, and a lot of these designers are very generous with their tips and stuff. But we're going to talk about some mistakes to avoid and the way you can decorate your home on a budget to actually present very well when you are putting it up for sale. And then the third topic, we're going to dive into a little bit about what buyers are looking for. Whether you're a buyer or a seller, this is good information because you want to know, okay, if I want X in a house, is that something that's valuable or not? And then the last topic we've covered before, but I always have more drama to talk about here, are the rules for showing your home and how to avoid agent showing mistakes. And as always, I love talking about my hot new listings. Richard?
You've got it. Great topics and timely ones as well. We're hearing more and more, Barb, on the news about squatters invading empty homes. It's a national problem, and here in Colorado as well. So, what are the laws in Colorado, and what can home sellers with empty homes do to prevent squatters from taking over their homes?
Well, I don't know if anybody has seen that video that's up on TikTok where an illegal alien basically goes up there and in another language describes exactly how he uses the word invade empty homes and live there.
Jeez.
Now, in pretty much any state, that's kind of a nightmare. First of all, once they get possession, it's difficult to get them out. Second of all, they could damage the house. And there's so basically, this guy is a professional criminal going online for the world to see to teach these people that are coming across the border how to go and move into homes and stay there. And not be homeless. It's crazy. So I've had some of my own real life experience with squatters in my listings. And we're going to go over what we call kind of some things that you can do to prevent that from happening, as well as what are the state laws? What are the requirements? I remember once I had somebody come into my office and he was so frustrated. He had a rental property and he had squatters invade that property. They weren't just in the house, they were in the crawl space, they were in the empty areas all over the home. And he called the sheriff. The sheriff came. He said, I can't do anything about it. You have to formally evict them. And they didn't have permission to be there. And then in the one in California, which there's all kinds of them in the news now. It's happening everywhere. It's happening in Atlanta. It happened on a multi-million-dollar property in California where they're having parties. It happened in New York where they just went in and basically killed the occupant and took possession of the home, which I know that's a crime in any state. Um, but here's the problem. I had one that actually went into one of the properties I had for sale that was owned by the Secretary of Veterans Affairs. It was just getting ready to go on the market. And these kids went in and broke into the house. They crawled in through a window. They covered up all the windows with doors that they took out of the basement and let their friends come over and have this huge party all night. So I get a call at 7 in the morning. And anytime you get a call at 7 in the morning and it's a sheriff, my immediate thought was my son was a teenager at the time. I'm like, okay, what did he do? But he was sleeping in the other room. And it was these other teens that broken in and had a big party, but the neighbors turned him in, which was a good thing. So things are a little bit different in Colorado than they are in other states. There's different types of quote possession, right? One of them's called adverse possession, where they actually occupy the property for more than 18 years. And from what I remember from real estate school, you have to actually file a suit in order to get that ownership of that property. And then there's another term called hostile possession, which is occupation without permission. And I know from my own experience that if somebody gets into the home and they're occupying it, neither the police nor the utility companies are going to help you in that situation. It doesn't matter whether or not they have permission to be there. If they get in there, the only legal way to get them out is to legally evict them, which takes a lot of time. And in the meantime, they can do a lot of damage. Let me tell you a story. I had a listing a year or so ago, and it was an unusual manufactured home in town in a neighborhood, and the former owner had passed away. And the family of the former owner hired me to put the house on the market. So we got it ready. We put it on the market. It was being shown by agents. One day, this agent showed up and went to open the door, and all these guys from inside the home showed up in the door. And she goes, "Oh, I thought it was empty." They said, "Oh, no, no, the owner let us stay here."
Oh my
So
God.
ring, ring, I get the call. I go over there, much to the objection of my husband. He's like, "Don't go over there. Don't do it." And I'm like, these guys don't have any business. I was really mad about it. And so basically what happened was the police never came. There were 7 occupants that went into this home, and they kind of scattered like rats. One of them came up to me and was like, "Oh, ma'am, I have this jacket in the house. Will you please put it outside? It's my only most valuable possession." I said, "Fine, but you better not come back because the cops are coming." And so, anyway, they left. We went inside and looked at what was in the home. There were needles all over the place. There were odd chemicals. They were living high on the hog because the utilities were on. So, they were some kind of street workers or something. They had these vests laying around. And anyway, so we cleaned up the home. A week later, they broke back in again. The first time they broke in through the back door, access door from the garage. The second time they just busted through the front garage door. And at that point, I'm like, okay, I'm not a police officer and I don't know what to do here. So I tried to get a hold of the seller. It took some time. Turned out these sellers, he was like the executor of the estate. He passed away. So then I talked to his brother and told him what was going on. I said, it's a problem. So anyway, the ultimate thing that happened about a week or two later, so my sign is still in the yard, right? And I get this panicky call from Colorado Springs Utilities going, "Oh my God, the water usage is off the scale at this house. Call me back." And I called him back. So just picture this. It's a rectangle manufactured home, about 2,000 square feet. Most of those don't have a basement. This one had a crawl space underneath of it, about 2,000 square feet, maybe 6 feet deep. What these guys had done is they cut the copper plumbing to sell it for money. Therefore, the water was just gushing all over the place. It filled the crawl space and was coming out of the sides of the home.
Oh my gosh.
And so I called Colorado Springs Utilities back, and he goes, "Well, I went over there and I turned the water off in the yard, but I did not lock it." And I said, "Why not?" He goes, "Because there's somebody in the house." I'm
Oh
like,
God.
"Those people are squatting." He goes, "I'm sorry, that's our rules. We can't do anything about it." So not only was the plumbing destroyed, but they had needles in there. Chances are they were doing meth or God knows what, which would have contaminated the home. So I had to tell the seller, look, it's over. There's no equity left in this home, if there was any at all, after what these guys did to the house. I would just let it go to foreclosure, and that's ultimately what happened. And I actually asked Colorado Springs Utilities to shut it off. They would not do it because my name was not on the account. It had to be the widow of the guy that had the utilities in his name. So it's very, very frustrating. And, in my business, there's things that go on, like every time I put a listing on the market, I get busted by our MLS services because it doesn't match whatever they think the profile has to be. And there are times when they create rules that work against the home seller. And this is an example. So I was one of the first persons to start using virtual staging in this market. And it's really very realistic looking. It helps buyers, excuse me, it helps buyers visualize themselves living in the home, and it doesn't show the home as empty. So what the MLS rules are is if you virtually stage a room, by the way, I got busted for virtually staging one room, and I got fined and sent to this hearing and all this garbage. And now they said, okay, it's okay to do it. They created rules around it. And one of the rules is you can put the virtual picture in there, but you have to also put a picture of the room empty in there too. So it telegraphs to the whole world that you've got an empty house, basically, with the utilities on. So I have a whole issue with doing that. And I don't think it's right, but basically that's in order to use that system, I have to do that. So if you are thinking of making a move, you really want to talk to an agent that knows how to protect you in this situation. And we give free in-home consultations on what to do and what not to do to get your house ready for sale. My name is Barb Schlinker. I am the owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Barb has the buyer's team, and I'm the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. So we're talking about how to protect your home from home squatters, especially when selling your home. And next up, for the last little bit, we're going to talk about tips that you can do to protect your home from squatters. Richard?
That is Barb Schlinker, host of the program and host of so let me go back. That's Barb Schlinker, host of the program, Your Real Estate Voice, and the owner proprietor of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Like Barb said, we're talking about invasions of home squatters. And what more should people know to be aware of this, Barb?
Well, if you do have them, you have to worry about whether or not they contaminated the home. If they've used meth in the home, it could mean a full-on remodel, even all the way down to the studs. That's how much contamination could take place. So you have to check for that. But that you have to also go through this ridiculous legal process. Notice to quit. You have to put a notice on the door. Wait 3 days before you can get a court date. Then you go to court. Could be a couple weeks, couple months before you get to court. Then you have to get a judgment for possession. Then you have to schedule a time with the sheriff to do a lockout. So all this takes weeks, if not months, to get done. In the meantime, they're in your home, they're occupying your home, they're damaging the home. So in my view, the best thing to do to minimize the opportunity for squatters to invade your property is, number one, avoid moving out. Go ahead and live there while you're showing and selling your home. It's okay. It's a little bit less convenient, but it's better than having these guys move in. Keep the internet on. Put up cameras around the house. Some of the cameras you can get on Amazon, like Blink and the other one, basically they're not that expensive. You can sign up for $10 a month for recording access, so you know if they do break in, what time it happened. That will help you. Make sure you're paying for internet service while your home is on the market. And most of all, pick an agent that uses the right kind of services, so you don't have to abide by the stupid MLS rules that present your home empty to the market. I don't think that's a good idea, but we see hundreds of listings all the time that are empty, and these squatters know they have utilities on, so wait, they get to stay there all snug as a bug, with the utilities on, and there's nothing you can do to get them out. So it's very frustrating. But if you hire the right team that knows exactly what to do, it could work out very, very well. Whether you're presenting your home empty or occupied, you should be taking these steps. So if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call, 719-301-3900, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
And eventually, I hope the legislature deals with this. But in the meantime, you're right. It's exactly why people need someone like you who's had the experience and knows the pitfalls that are out there for people who are buying and selling. You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. She's the host of the program. And if you're thinking of making a move, call her 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll be talking about the top home design mistakes to avoid, plus tips to add value and do that on a budget. Stay tuned.